and welcome back to round 4 of the AK Racing Supercar Championship here from Pukekohe Raceway. Obviously now we're just waiting for the second race of the evening, which will be obviously the feature race, 77 laps, with strategy being go and sort yourself out. Cortum taking the win in the first race, Matt Cotter second for Penrite Erebus Racing. Teammate Reed finishing in third place. James Delaney in hot chase in fourth place. Couldn't quite steal a podium in the end with obviously a pole position getter having to start from the pit lane and having a disaster with Munro starting obviously for this second race down in 22nd position. So disaster for him. Still no signs of O'Hara in the server. So disaster for him and his championship hopes. And obviously his championship lead will be gone should he not be able to make it for obviously race 2 this evening. It has ticked over to the race session, so he may not be able to get in. So big shame for the championship leader. But still just under 2 minutes away for the race 2 start here. But just to run through the grid. Actually, in fact, it looks like we've had a little bit of an error out there because it looks like Cortum has been shuffled to the back of the grid. Don't know how that's happened, but it has unfortunately, so we may see a restart of the service. A little bit of a disaster. And a little bit of frustration. Obviously, we did have some issues there at Symmons Plains with this happening. Myself also doing that as well, being a cause of one of the issues. But not too far away should the server not get restarted, that's for sure. But now we just wait. Looks like the race will get underway. In fact, it doesn't look like we will. So, safety car pulling away and some drivers pulling away. So it looks like it will be a safety car or a rolling start for this one. So we had the same issues last time out at Symmons Plains, unfortunately. But that means obviously just a rolling start. But Corson will be able to start from obviously the front row. So the yellow icon, as you can see with the lap counter in the middle of the screen, indicates that it's a yellow flag and the safety car is out. With Diddles being the race director / safety car driver. But this at least gives us a chance to run through the field. At least in a more official capacity. So, Corsom will lead the field away. He's our race 1 winner. And then we have Cotter, Reed, Delaney, Birchall, Keane, Brock, Lauder, Phillips, Ches, Eaton, Duro, Thornton, Keys, Hine, French, Lynn, Dominiac, Hall, Payne, Munro and Crab rounding out the field. So only 23 runners this evening. Obviously the field was shrunk just a little bit after the last round. Obviously the first 3 rounds we did have 30 plus cars. The field was actually shrunk a little bit, but we do have a couple drivers missing. Obviously most notable being O'Hara due to blackout at the moment. So just about to get underway, a rolling start here for race 2. And Cortum will lead us away. So just have a look ahead. Yep, safety car is in. And safety car procedure, or rolling start procedure, getting underway. Cotter right under the rear wing of Cortum. He doesn't want to let the race 1 winner get away. And away goes Cordham, and away goes race 2 here at Pukekohe Park Raceway. And Cordham will lead the field away. Brock looking like he wants to make a move on Keane already. Keane giving him that space as we look at the field as they run to the turns 2 and 3 chicane. When Hine getting a little bit out of shape at the chicane. But it looks like no incidents there at the moment. Cordham leading the field. Cotter giving chase. Cordham having to go defensive. Just parks it in the middle of the road. Leaves Cotter with nowhere to go. Don't outbrake yourself. He doesn't. And Keane outbraking himself. Looks like he was trying to make a move on Brock there. And that's cost him a little bit of time. And that's Phillips making a move on Lauder. So Phillips had a fantastic start in this one. Obviously had a little bit of a lonely race, well not so much of a lonely race, but was outside the top 10 in race 1. Finds himself in 9th and battling, trying to go around the outside. The penultimate corner, will have the inside for the final corner. This is a very, very risky place to try and overtake. Plenty of respect between the two. And somehow they've avoided going off, unlike cars in the background who were on their own. But Phillips will take that position. So fantastic driving, but Lauder not wanting to give it up. Side by side into the first chicane. Lauder outbrakes himself a little bit. That will compromise him for turn 4 and obviously the run down to 5. So this battle will continue. Holding Phillips up, it's brought Duro, Eaton, Thornton and Keys all into play as well. Birchall's got himself up in front of Matt Cotter, who's dropped down into P5. But we'll stick with this battle for now. Phillips having a look up the inside. He's going to send it. Lauder gives him space, and Lauder will hold on as he had the momentum, and Phillips was just struggling to pull it up in the end there. But some great racing in the back end of the field. And just remember, this is a 77 lap race, but they're battling for sheep stations on lap 1, 2 and 3 now. It's a very, very angry battle pack down the field here. Up at the front though, Cordham, fastest man, obviously lap time wise, we've seen a massive jump. They're about 1.5 seconds faster, 1.5 to obviously 1.2, 1.1 seconds slower than what they were obviously achieving in race 1. Obviously full tanks in these cars now. And Birchall, see once again nice and clean. He hasn't made a mistake. Well, it looks like Cotter may have, and that's why he finds himself outside the top 4 for the first time outside of pit stops this round. Delaney in a podium position, still a long way to go. Brock not too far away either, and look, he's not outbraking himself at turn 5, so well done Brock. But top 5, top 6 even. In fact, you probably could go top 7, so that is the top 7. That's so you caught him in first, and then there's Keane, a little bit adrift of Brock, but not too far away. And they've got a second group headed by Lauder, and that ends with Keys. That's Brock wide at the final corner into the wall on the inside, and it's going to allow Keane to go by. So once again, Brock making that mistake. He's got pace in that car. He can drive a supercar, but he just makes too many mistakes. Probably just a little bit overcommitted in a lot of these places, and leading to his errors, because he should definitely be in the top 10 in the championship, but finds himself languishing in the mid to low teens. You've got Delaney still very, very close behind Reed. In fact, Reed sort of closed that gap to Cordham in front, so the top 3 very, very close. Be right on board Delaney, and Cordham having to go a bit defensive into the hairpin. And he outbroke himself a little bit, and that's going to allow Reed to get a nice run. So you look back from Cordham's plus fitness, it's an ultimate. That's a nice battle here at the front. Drivers now into the 104s with a little bit of fuel coming off and still some decent tyres. And Cordham immediately doing the old F3 trick, coming out of obviously a slower corner and going down a massive straight with a car in his slipstream, just pulling to the inside, seeing if Reed follows him. A little bit of a lock-up for Cortum and a little bit of lock-up for Reed as well. So these guys right on the limit of what a supercar can do here in Assetto Corsa. In fact, a slight mistake from Reed has allowed Delaney to close up and in fact has to go defensive into the hairpin. So Delaney, man on a mission at the moment. So the solid round so far, but he'll want to go a little bit quicker. See, he's got himself into a podium position, but he'll want a race win to kickstart his season after a shocking start. Looks like Hine there. As you can see here, upper spot. So he's got pace in this thing. Obviously, it's the second or third fastest man in practice in the overall times, but horror first lap saw him drop to the back and having to pit. As you see, Keys on the grass there. Not something you want to be down the main straight here. Seen many an accident down that pit straight at Pukekohe Raceway in real life. And Birchall looks like he's had enough because he's elevated Keane and Brock. And Brock has had quite a decent recovery after that little off he had into the barrier at the exit of the final corner. Now he's putting Keane under pressure. And it looks like he's going to have a sneaky little move at turn 6, but sort of backs out of it. Keane gave him a little bit of space, saw him coming. And in the end, that's going to compromise Brock just a little bit. And looks like we've had a change of position. A little bit as we cut it. Biff and barge between Delaney and Reed. Delaney just holding it onto the track. He's going to try and switch back at the final corner. In fact, he's going to try and go around the outside at the last corner. And, well, it's a risky opportunity or attempt. Looks like he's got a slightly better run, but to hold onto the outside and set it a move up into turns 2 and 3 is a risky proposition. Once again, not a little lock up for Reed. And that allows the lane just to stay close, right there in the slipstream. Cotter back up into P4 after Birchall's mistake. Oh, a little bit of a lock up as you could hear on board there from Delaney. See, if these two battling just a little bit is allowing Cortum just to edge away a little bit now. And in fact, Delaney now under a bit of pressure from Reed's teammate Cotter. As you see, Keys looks like he's dropping up and down the field there. Yeah, having to cut through the chicane there. So he's had a little bit of an adventure. And that's actually elevated Hine. He's now into P12. Cotter setting his personal best of 104.4 on that last lap, or 4.14 I should say. Let's follow Hine and his adventures at the moment. You see, he is out of position just a little bit, half a second faster than Eaton in front of him. In fact, Thornton behind him at 104.8, so he's got some handy pace in the second Super Cheap Auto Ford Mustang. So he's sticking with Hine at the moment. Both Hine and Eaton using all the road and a little bit of the green stuff on the exit of turn 4 there. Eaton's had a good exit though, so he's making it very, very difficult for Hine. And Hine's going to have to find another place to do it. So can't do it at turn 5. This is a battle between Duro and Phillips up ahead. Hine will be hoping that obviously continues. He's had a good run through 5 and 6 and 7. Not quite close enough to make a move, but Eaton outbroke himself on the grass and allowing Hine, and he's going to allow Thornton to get by, and possibly Keys as well. Yeah, that will allow Keys to go by, and Rusty Hall will probably have a good run in as well. But back at the front, there's your top 4. Once again, separated by a cigarette paper. Now Keen's the one sitting in P5. He's just edged away a little bit from Brock. And then we've got Birchall trying to recover after his little adventure. And then we've got Lauder battling it out with Birchall as well. And then Duro having a nice little run, as well as Phillips also having a solid run. We've got Eaton and Hall battling out, so I think Eaton's continuing to struggle just a little bit. And he might even lose out a couple spots here, because Dominiak and Hall battling it out. They're probably going to try something silly here, and there's Munro as well trying to recover. Let's see a pole getter for the race 1. So we might see him jump onto an alternate strategy, if he can, just to get out of this traffic and get himself obviously a good opportunity to move up without having to risk his race car. That's Eaton and Hall duking it out very, very hard here. As you can see, top four just across the line. They're all 104.5s and 6s. Very, very close together. Keane on 104.7. And then Brock in the 5s. And then the next man in the 4s. Hine down in 11th place. So he's one to look out for as the race goes on. He'll be glad that this is a longer distance race. And Lauder has got himself ahead of Birchall. So perhaps a mistake from Birchall, because there's a little bit of a gap between them as we cut to them. So there's that little pack, and there's Hine. He can cue the Jaws theme as he's on his way. And you've got to say Thornton's travelling along quite nicely as well, so he's got a little bit of pace. Thornton will be looking just to stick with Hine, and when he gets up obviously to the Duro, Phillips and Birchall battle pack, he'll be looking to tag along as well. Lauder edging away from Birchall now. There's Cotter, fastest man on the circuit on the last lap, and making a move on Delaney up the inside at turn 1. Delaney have the inside for turn 2. Delaney outbraking himself for turn 2 and 3, but he'll pull it up and hold on for now. Now, did Cotter get a better exit? Doesn't look like it. So Delaney holds on for now, but this is a very, very juicy battle. Cotter having a look at turn 5, not quite close enough to make the move, just showing his nose, trying to distract Delaney in front. But to quote a fellow commentator, it is nuts to butts stuff at the moment. A bit of a lock-up though for Delaney. It's going to give Cotter more encouragement as Reed starting to put Cautum under pressure in front as well. Now that Reed doesn't have to worry about Delaney, he can start to apply the pressure and drive the lines he wants to. It looks like Birchall's got ahead of Lauder as well. So perhaps a mistake with those guys as Reed fastest lap of the race, a 104.343. Or his personal best at least. So these top four just ebbing and flowing really. And again, these guys pretty much the only guys in the 4s, and Hine, another one in the 4s as well. Once again, caught him doing the old F3 trick, just snaking across and Reed following him. And slightly defensive line from Cautum there into turn 5. And now that these guys have started to battle a little bit, and Delaney hasn't had to battle Cotter as hard, once again, they're starting to close back up once again. So they just ebb and flow as they battle, and then once they battle and lose time, it sets it all up, obviously to drive a bit cleaner once they're spread out a little bit, and then it closes up again. Oh, we've got Eaton there, having to cut the chicane down the audit, so he was having an alright run, not so much now. So he's had a bit of a disastrous run as Cotter, fastest lap of the race. Delaney and Cotter both in the 103.9s. And Hine on that last lap up 2 spots, so he's now into the top 10. And it's not too far away from that top pack, so if things go his way and there's a safety car, we could see him obviously adding to that battle pack. But at the moment, about 10 seconds or so adrift. So he's got Phillips immediately in front of him. Lauder not too far away either. And then a bit of a gap to Birchall, who's battling out with Brock down the road. Oh, and we've got a car sideways there. That's Brock, and he's sort of parked it and then moved. He probably should have just stayed stationary. And, now he's trying to battle Hine. It's very, very, very awkward stuff there. Another mistake from Brock drops him down the field. Hine now into 9th place, or it should be 9th once it all shakes out. Actually, then again, I think someone may have jumped ahead of him there. Yeah, Duro, I believe. I think jumped ahead. But Hine's had a good run out of the final corners. Having a look up the inside of turn 1, thought about it, saw where Phillips is braking, and I'll take that, thank you very much. Now Hine is into 9th place. Brock having a look at Phillips as well. He's going to send it, maybe in a little bit of contact, but Phillips will hold on for now. Now Brock has to sort of worry about Thornton in behind. who I thought didn't have to take to the grass there, and now this was a little bit spread out, but now it's all come close together because that's Keys, Hall, and Munro all there as well. Munro, our pole getter from race 1, don't forget. It's absolutely nothing separating really Duro all the way back to Munro at the back of that pack there, and a big mistake out of the hairpin from Brock is going to allow Munro up, or to move up another spot now into 14th. So after that issue that he had there at turn 6 and 7, his rear tyres perhaps overheating a little bit from... Actually, no, that was Hall. My mistake. That's the second of the Walkinshaw Andretti United cars. Once again, Brock having a look up the inside at turn 4. Phillips, he's able to take that wider line through there. Seems to use the camber of the corner to sort of carry some pace through there. And he's able to hold on. So good driving from Phillips. Hine now starting to apply pressure to Duro in front. At the moment, Phillips just a little bit of a cork in the bottle, as Hine has now got past Duro, as you can see in the now in the background of your screen there. Look at that, very, very angry pack here. You gotta wait just a little bit for Lynn. And then Crab, and then Eaton, and then we've got French Machinery House car, Payne, and then Ches. Well, we've got Phillips around at the looks like turns 2 and 3 there. So I don't know if he lost it on his own or if there was any contact. But well, he's just in front of Lynn now, so a disaster for Phillips. He was having a solid run, but not anymore. Looks like Lynn will probably get by him as well. That obviously elevates Brock, Thornton, and it looks like Munro and Keys battling out. A little bit of contact. But Keys holding on for now, or in fact getting that position back now. Hall just keeping a watching eye. Munro, a wide line at the hairpin is going to compromise him a little bit. And Hall's going to have a look as it looks like it's Brock into the pit lane. The first man really in the top 10, top 15 to pit. And after all that, looks like there's a few gaps in this little battle pack now. Brock probably pitting just to get out of it, and obviously he was sliding around just a little bit, so perhaps just wanting some new tyres, getting some clear air, and he'll be hoping to undercut these guys once the first round of pit stops obviously shake out. Back at the front though, very, very close. I had a look and it was 1/10 between Delaney and Reed, and really it's not even a second between the top 4. And Corsom just holding on at the moment. He's able to withstand the pressure in race 1 before edging away, and he's able to do it at the moment. So it's Team Castrol Plus Fitness versus Team Penrite Erebus Racing. All of them, both teams occupying first and second in the championship standings, and occupying the first 4 positions on the track. Cordham just parking his car in the middle of the road, giving Reed no real opportunity to just send a late move up without compromising himself or attempting a very dangerous passing opportunity. That's very, very close racing. These guys are 8 seconds clear of Keane in P5. Keane is also 8 seconds clear of Lauder. So Keane having a bit of a quiet run, but still very, very good points for Team 18 and for Keane in the driver's standings as well. An okay run in the first race, but so far in race 2 here, very good run. Once again, all the top 4, mid 104s this time around. As they duke it out, and they're just a couple of tenths faster than Keane, who's out on his own. So we'll just cut a little bit further back down the field. Once again, right on board Mr. Hine. 104.6 for him. And Thornton, a couple positions down also in the 104s as well. So those guys have a bit of pace. There's a Munro, as you can see in the tower there, getting by Keys. It looks like there's a bit of a battle going on still. Thornton down a couple spots, so I reckon he's made a mistake at turn 2, 3 or 4 there. As Munro, very, very late on the race, slight lockup, he's able to pull it up, so he holds on to P10. He's now back in the top 10. Pardon me. And the lead is 105s there. So perhaps a bit of traffic or some battling. In fact, Delaney's moved up into P2, so it's now a Team Castrol plus Fitness 1-2. He's got himself in front of Reed, but Reed looks like he's trying to set himself up for a move back up into second place. Nissan 1-2, Commodore 3-4. In fact, Reed coming under attack from his teammate, and Cotter now up into P3. Just caught that in the mirrors there. It's all happening in the top 4 at the moment, with all positions changing hands bar the leader. So Cotter and Delaney will continue their battle, while Reed now shuffled to the back of this top 4 pack. And then further down, Loudon now heading angry battle pack. He's got Hine, Birchall, Duro all right behind him. A little bit of a gap to Munro, but Munro, as we've seen, is quite quick around this circuit. So if this battle lasts long enough, he may catch up onto the back of these guys as well. 105.0 for both Lauder and Hine, 106.0 for Birchall, 105.7 for Duro, and Munro 104.4. So his personal best. He's finally out in some clear air, and in fact he was comfortably the fastest man on the circuit on that last lap. So if there's a safety car, the two men to look out for outside the top 4, definitely Hine and Munro, but they've got to get themselves into contention. As Loud is quite a big lockup into turn number 5 there. He's able to pull it up. Birch a little bit wide in the background there. And Duro hanging the rear end out there as he tries to stick with Birchall and set up a move. Allowed it a little bit wide at the hairpin, and that's allowed Hine just to get a little bit of an overlap. And they're going to go side by side to the penultimate corner. But in fact, Loudon just getting out of it, letting Hine get by. Looks like he's just trying to do the smart thing, run his own race, because Hine is a bit quicker. And Hine now recovering 104.6 compared to 105.7. But Hine's got a fair way to go. About 10 seconds down the road is Keane. Well, it's actually about 8, but 8 seconds, while Keane's about 9.5 seconds behind Reed. But Hine, good job from him into the top 6, but it's going to take him a while to catch back up to catch back up to Keane and to get into the top 5. Back at the front though, Delaney's just dropped Cotter a little bit. Not much, just a little bit. Still a cigarette paper covering the top 4. But he's starting to apply a bit of pressure to his teammate now. Obviously his teammate winning race 1. I do believe he took a race win as well at Albert Park in one of the 4 races there as well. But Delaney has had a fantastic round so far. But he wants to make it a very, very good one. 4th in race 1. Couldn't quite steal the podium at the end, but he certainly did look a little bit quicker than I think it was, Cotter that stole the final position. Oh no, it was Reed, I believe, in the final position on the podium. But these top 4 have not. They've been inseparable, really. No, inseparable in race 1 and inseparable so far here in race 2. With I think the biggest gap between 1st and 4th only being so far in race 2 here, probably about 1.5 seconds is probably the biggest gap. And I think there's a little bit of contact that shoved Delaney wide there, and that's allowed Cotter to get in. So Cotter just sending a late move in. And able to get by Delaney, so caught him by surprise. Caught me by surprise, and a little bit wide there from Delaney. Reed very, very wide. But, once again, another change of position. Now it's Cotter's turn to have a look at the back of the Plus Fitness Nissan Altima of Cortum. And he'll be hoping to get a move done pretty quickly. He's had a good run through the first part so far, but immediately, once again, caught him straight to the inside. Cotter just flicking his lights there a little bit. Caught him parking his car in the middle of the road, making it very, very awkward once again. So smart driving, good car placement, but not wanting to let Cotter to get by in, well, it's still the fairly early stages, about a third of the way through. A big slide out of the hairpin for Cortum, and that's plenty of encouragement for Cotter, and he's going to try and get him on the switchback, but he wasn't quite close enough, and you don't want to be on the inside for the penultimate corner and then on the outside for the final corner. You'll never get a move done, and Cotter smartly got out of it. Otherwise, if he had tried to move, he could have caused contact in front, or he could have just compromised himself at the final corner and allowed himself to obviously come under a further attack from Delaney and Reed in behind. But once again, his top four compressing. Caught him going to the inside. No one following him this time. But not far away is Cotter. Once again, caught him just parking in the middle of the road. And because he's done it so often as well, he knows where to brake. He knows where to brake and pull the car up and still hit the apex and have a decent run through turn 6. So he knows what he's doing. Once again, defensive into the hairpin. Delaney very, very aggressive. I think doing a copycat move to what Cotter did to him. And once again, a change for P2. And Delaney back up to P2. Cotter shuffled down to P3. And this enthralling battle at the front continues. So what is interesting is that you get some of these laps are in the 105s for these guys at the front, and mid to high 104s. I do wonder if Keane and Hine can sort of close the gap down, if they sort of can find a couple tenth or two. Hine is certainly closing in on Keane just a little bit. So another 10 or so, 10, 15 laps perhaps, and he'll be able to reach out and touch Keane. As it looks like Thornton and Keys swap of positions for 12th place. Keys dropping down to 13th. Thornton now back up into 12th, and it looks like another move at the hairpin as we cut away, but they're going to go side by side. Cotter's going to try and hold on around the outside, around the penultimate corner, and have the inside. Looks like there might have been a little bit of contact between Delaney and Cotter at the penultimate corner there. Maybe contact, or maybe just left him just enough of a car width that it sort of off-put Cotter's line, certainly compromised him and dropped him back and into the clutches of his teammate. So hard racing between Delaney and Cotter. And now there's probably the biggest gap between first and third all race long at this current moment in time, due to that little bit of argy-bargy stuff at the back end of the circuit. But that is your top four right there. And there's Keane in the background in the yellow and black Preston High car. And that is Hine there in the Petronas Machinery House ZB Commodore. Got Keys in the pits down in 20th place. You've got Munro and Lauder together on track as well. So the Rebel Club cars now closed up. Munro has done a good job recovering from the back of the pack. I believe he started in 21st or 22nd position. With all these top four being spread out, all of them into the mid to low 104s. Once they're in that little bit of clear, a mistake from Delaney though. Turn 2, and another mistake though for Cotter. He's ran wide, outbroke himself as well at turn number 4, and that's going to allow Reed now up into 3rd place. As we see, it looks like Keys, who's just pitted, off on the grass in the background. But a swap between teammates after Cotter's mistake. And there's the top four. And there's Keys. And that is Keane. Looks like Hines had a little bit of trouble in the last couple of laps. His gap was about 5.8 seconds. Looks like he's got a little bit of damage on the left side of his car. The gap's now almost 7, or was 7 seconds, now 6.9 seconds. Behind him though, Duro and Birchall at it again. Obviously Birchall started, I think, in 5th position, I believe, for this one. But I don't know if it was just an incident or he just went off on his own, but he dropped down the field early on, and he's trying to recover back to see where he started. Probably going to find it difficult with Hine probably a little bit quicker than him, and Keane also having a solid run so far, and he's also got to watch out for Munro in behind him. He was our pole getter from race 1. Duro pushing hard, sliding all over the place on the exits, going defensive early. He's going to try and force Birchall to go around the outside. And Munro in the background, he's like, yep, keep battling, because I want in on this action as well. And Birchall's going to try and go around the outside, but Duro outbrake himself just a little bit, perhaps a little bit of gamesmanship as well, but he's missed the apex for turn 6, and he's got a massive slide. In fact, he might have even had a little bit of a serving as well from the Nissan in behind, but Birchall around the outside at the hairpin. Duro going defensive. Munro's going to try and go around the outside at the hairpin, and depending on how his run will get, he might have the inside. No, he will have the inside for the penultimate corner. Duro will have the inside for the final corner though, and will hold on, but Birchall moves up. But Duro, he's now got to contend with the Rabble Club Nissans and a recovering Munro and Lauder. So nice little battle pack here. A little bit of slide on the exit for Munro, but it looks like he's had a better exit than Duro, and looks like a little bit of rubber banding there, but Munro will have the inside. Duro did not cover it, and unless he outbrakes himself, Munro will move up into P8. He does pull it up, and he does get the position. Now it's all on his teammate to get the job done and keep the team rolling forward. And Eaton and Lynn swapping positions there. Looks like Eaton getting the job done at the hairpin. They've got Crab just in front of him, so it looks like a nice little battle pack down here for 13th as well. All those cars there on your screen as I take a screenshot by accident. All these cars here are for position. Oh, as Lynn gets it sideways out of the hairpin. And that allows Brock to move up a spot, as well as French. One thing to remember though, Brock has pitted, so he's obviously on a bit of an alternate strategy, trying to go obviously back to front with strategies. He runs wide at the final corner. That's going to allow French to try and get a move done. Goes to the inside. French goes around the outside, but French with the momentum gets the position. And now sets his sights on Eaton in front. Eaton trying to hold on to the back of Crab. Or get back onto the back of Crab, I should say. And just looking at top left there, looks like the leaders, they're not going to be too far away from lapping these guys as well. So that will be another thing that the leaders are going to have to contend with later on in this race. There's a number of battle packs out on the circuit that they're going to have to deal with. So you're going to have obviously the top four in a big battle pack battling it out, and then you're going to have them trying to pick their way through that, while other guys in massive 4-5 car battle packs are trying to pass people and obviously let people by to lap them as well. As Delaney goes defensive with Reed, I should say, in hot pursuit, and Reed, decent run around the outside at turn number 6 or 5 there. Had the inside for 6, but didn't quite have the momentum. Delaney gave him the space, but Delaney holds on for now. The top four once again close right up. They've got a little bit of lap traffic to deal with as well in the next lap or two, speaking of traffic. Right, there is absolutely nothing between this top four. There was nothing between them in the first race, and once again, for 34 laps so far, this has been the gap for the entire race. And albeit Cortum's led, I'm pretty sure, every lap, he's been under pressure the entire way. He's just had all the three cars behind him, Delaney, Reed and Cotter, all have a look at the back of his Nissan Altima at various parts of this race. But fantastic racing between these guys at the moment. Stick with it for now. They're coming up to one of the Nissan Altimas, the Harvey Norman cars. I believe that's Payne, as it looks like we've got Brock in the pits once again. So he was on that alternate strategy. Perhaps it wasn't an alternate strategy. Perhaps early on it was a drive-through. Perhaps this one's a drive-through. And it looks like Delaney's had a decent run through the final sector and is right behind his teammate now. And Delaney not game enough just to send it. So he doesn't want to wipe his teammate out. So he's a little bit more conservative than I think he would have been had it been Reed or Cotter in front of him. Perhaps he's just trying to set up a move here into turn 5. He's had a good run through the first sector. Payne gets out of the way, so good driving from the lap car. And I think we'll see Cortum just stick to the middle of the road. In fact, looked like Delaney just backed out of it a little. So a bit of team play from these guys at the moment. Perhaps they're just waiting for the last part of the race before they do a bit of racing. As it looks like Reed and Cotter are starting to battle it out as well. Oh, there's a big lock up there for Delaney. That's allowed Cotter to have a look up the inside. Delaney will hold on. And it'll give Cortum some breathing room as we see now the first of the leaders into the pit. So pit stops now in effect as Reed enters the pits. He'll be looking to undercut these guys, but vital for him is traffic. Will he needs to get out in clear air. If he doesn't get out in clear air, we could see him obviously fall to the back of this little battle pack. But he'll ideally want to come out in clear air, have a decent outlap, not throw it off the road, and then once his tyres are up to temperature, to be able to set some quick lap times and get himself out in front of the Nissan pair and his teammate. And now it's vital as Delaney and Cotter battle it out. Cotter's going to try and go around the outside of turn 5. We've seen this before in real life, but this time no contact. A fantastic move from Cotter moves him back up to P2. So that is not ideal, really, for Delaney or Cotter that they had to battle like that. I guess Cotter probably wouldn't care all that too much because it'll allow his teammate to find a little bit of time on these guys as they battle it out. But that'll certainly help his teammate to some degree. But Cortum just edging away. 104.9 for him, 104.7 for Cotter, 105.5 for Delaney after obviously having to get out of it with black, red and gold ZB Commodore in front of him. And now we've got Keane also into the pit lane. We've got 40 laps to go. And these guys on lap 37, so obviously these guys just trying to go for a longer stint. As Hine on the grass, I don't know how he pulled that up and didn't go around there, but on the grass at the turning point for turn 1. And then because of that, a very, very sketchy line through turns 2, 3 and 4 there. But he is pushing hard out there. Obviously Keane has just pitted and that's the man that he's racing. But a good job from him, sees him up into P4 at the moment. And we've got Cortum around. So that is a change for the lead. Delaney in the lead. Cotter has entered into the pit lane. Oh, absolute disaster. Absolute disaster for Cortum. We've led every lap so far. A race 1 winner. So we didn't see what happened, if there was a bit of contact or if he lost it on his own. But that has cost him, I reckon. Let's just have a look and see what it says compared to his teammate. He's lost 8 seconds, so he is definitely going to be at the back of the pack once all the pit stops shake out. So he might have to find a bit of time here or hope his teammate flies the flag and holds the two Penrite Erebus cars up. But no doubt Delaney probably would have lost a little bit of time from that as well. And as you can see, Delaney pushing hard into turn 5. A little bit of a slide on entry. A little bit of a slide on the exit of turn 6. He's pushing hard as well. And Cortum still losing time as well. 8.6 seconds now. 9 seconds. So that will fluctuate. Delaney is going to go around again. So different strategies for the Nissans. And just hearing from O'Hara in the chat, 41 laps is the most the tank can do, he thinks. So that'll be interesting. Drivers may have to conserve a little bit. Got Hine into the pits, so that'll be an interesting one. And that obviously allows Birchall now into third. Birchall yet to pit. Munro yet to pit, and he's still going along out there. Birchall in the fours, Munro in the fours. Now at 105. Also got Hall in the pits as well. And Reed is a couple seconds clear of Cotter. So that incident, and you got Cotter in the pits again. So perhaps Cotter had a drive through and he's having to serve it. Now we will also wait and see where Hine comes out with regards to Keane. And that's Keane right there, and that's Hine right there. So that gap probably around about the same. Perhaps Hines maybe gained a second or two. But I reckon those two will converge towards the back end of the race. Number of drivers in the pits now as well. And now I've got Cortum into the pits. I wonder if he'll fix his damage as well. We'll ride on board. In fact, we won't ride on board. And see Brock out of nowhere, fastest lap of the race, a 103.6. Obviously his strategy is a little bit out of kilter, but Brock, fastest lap. First man into the threes, I think. And this one, very, very quick. Got Lauder and Munro in the pits. Got Birchall also in the pits as well. So there goes Reed into, obviously, second place. And that will elevate, obviously, Cortum due to, I think, Cotter, who's gone through the pit lane. I reckon it was a drive-through. Or perhaps, I reckon it was a drive-through, but it could have been a splash and dash for fuel as well. And Keane, after the pit stop sequence, just seeing here, he hit Cortum and didn't redress. So there we go. So drive-through for Cotter. Disaster. And out of all that though, Keane, he's only 2.2 seconds behind Cortum now. Travelling along quite nicely. So he's on warm tyres, Cortum is on cold ones. But he's got to look in his mirrors, I reckon, towards the end of this race. Keane will have a Petronas liveried car in his mirrors. So you get a little bit of lag there. And then Keane gets a little bit sideways. But Delaney in and out of the pits. And it's going to be a drag race into the first chicane. But Delaney looks like he'll hold on for now. Unless Reed sends it up the inside. He's going to try it. He's going to send it up the inside. He'll have the outside for turns 3 and 4, but Delaney has to get out of it, otherwise he would have speared into the side of Reed. So couldn't quite get the job done, but it is still a race on between Delaney and Reed at the front. They've got 10 seconds between themselves and Cortum. Cotter now down in 6th place. It's all happening in the last 4 or 5 laps strategy-wise, but it's not over yet. See, Delaney will be glad to see lap traffic and a battle pack at that. So that's both the DJR Team Penske cars of Ches and Eaton. And they've got also Dominiak in front of them as well. And they're battling for position, as are the 2 race leaders. So, just watch and see. And Eaton getting out of the way. And as you can see, that's a visual gap, a couple seconds, or second and a half between Reed and Delaney, and that's all the difference between warm and cold tyres. It's Hine, 104.2, setting some quite handy lap times. And Keane, 1.1 seconds behind Cortum as well, so that's one of the closer battles at the front now. And Hines also closing, gained a second on that last lap. And then they've also got Cotter as well. He'll be trying to recover as well. So there's going to be a very, very keen battle, I reckon, for 4th place as this race goes on. Perhaps even 3rd if Cortum can't find the speed, because he's nowhere at the moment. Obviously, he did pit a lap and a half ago. But these cars here, 3rd all the way to 6th. I reckon they're probably going to converge within the, obviously, with about 10 or so laps to go. 10, 15 laps to go. And obviously we've got Reed 1.5 seconds in front of Delaney. They've navigated the DJR Team Penske cars. They've just got to navigate Dominiak, but he's also closing on Lynn. And Lynn is battling with Crab. So, something to look out for. Munro also quite close to Birchall. Birchall had a good run in the first race. A couple errors in this one and another one there, unfortunately. And that's allowed Munro to get one of the easiest positions that he's made up today. And now he sets his sights, in fact, on Cotter in front. So you could even see him. Oh, actually, no, he's actually 9.5 seconds behind. So he's actually got quite a bit of a gap. But should we see a safety car, it'll be a very, very interesting finish, because the top 6 on track are all very, very close pace-wise to each other. And then you've probably got Cortum, who's probably a little bit grumpy with obviously Cotter in behind. He'll want to be getting a wriggle on and make up the most of that contact. But he's not travelling too quickly at the moment. He's losing time to Keane behind, and Hines even faster. Obviously Keane and Hines both setting personal bests on that last lap. And Munro now also personal best of 104.0, very close to 103. So top 7 cars on track are the fastest cars around the racetrack, which is something that we haven't seen all night, with Munro in the first race having issues. And in this, and also Hine also issues on the first lap for him as well, dropping him down the field. So it's generally, and also seen a couple other incidents as well. And down the field, Dominiak at 104.7 as well. So the pace has actually picked up quite a bit up and down the field, which is making things awkward for front runners as they go to lap them. That's at the moment closest battle on track is, well, we've got Keys. There's I think that's Payne getting out of the way for all these cars here. So this is the biggest battle on the circuit at the moment between Keys, Hall, Thornton, Phillips, Brock, and French. Oh, sorry, French is a few seconds back by mistake, but that is the closest battle on track. That's 11th to 15th, with 32 laps to go. All these guys in the mid 105s. Except for Brock, actually. He's 104.8 for him. And he's right behind Phillips, who did pass earlier. Oh, a bit of a mistake from Phillips in front. Lost the rear a little bit on the exit of turn 4. And unless he goes defensive, Brock will just send it up the inside, which he does. Phillips stays to the left. And Brock's going to try and make a move stick up the inside into turn 5. Gets the job done. Doesn't outbrake himself this time. And up another spot goes Brock, who's been, once again, if there was a yo-yo award for a driver that went up and down the most, I think he'd probably be the driver that gets it, because he always starts in the mid-pack, has a good start, up a few spots, and then ends up always throwing it off the road somewhere, or having a half spin and dropping down a few spots, or trying and pitting early, as he runs wide out of the final corner, and all his hard work is going to be undone, as Phillips gets by him once again. So, yeah. If you had an award for the Yo-Yo Award, I think Brock would probably win it just about every week. And once again, he's going to try and make a move. But very, very ragged on the exit of turn 4. As you see, it looks like Keys right behind Hall. And he's going to have a look. Not quite close enough. And he's also got to think as well. I think Hall actually got past him on that last lap because I believe Keys was heading this pack. But he's got to watch himself when he does make a move with other cars so close behind. If he gets it slightly wrong, he gets a bad exit trying to make a move, he could find himself dropping a couple spots. And up at the front, I'm just having a look at the tower. Looks like the gap is under a second between our race leaders, and obviously there's also less than a second between Cortum and Keane as well. Hine 2.5 seconds adrift. And a swap between Duro and Birchall. Birchall off the road. And now Lauder's got past him as well, so Birchall going backwards. He's very, very consistent in the first race, but in this second one here, made a number of mistakes and cut away as well. And Keys now finds himself, well, he's dropped the position to Thornton and he's going to drop a position to Phillips, and I reckon Brock might have a look as well if he gets half a sniff. He thought about it, did Brock, but the door just closed in front of him. Keys trying to recover. Very, very hot battles up and down at the track at the moment. Oh, and a bit of an... Looks like Keys just lost the rear end there. Perhaps gone on the grass, or his rears are gone just a little bit, and that's going to allow Brock to get by. Oh, there's contact. Brock tried to go around the outside, cut in front of Keys. Around they both go. Off into the boonies. And, well, Brock's going to have to go four-wheel driving, and that Walkinshaw Andretti United car is already dirty enough. And, well, he's going to get it dirty again by having that little half spin again as he gassed it up. And, oh yeah, his rear tyres must be screaming at the moment. They've come out right in front of the leaders as well. And Delaney's had a good run because of all that, but a little bit of contact because Reed had to sort of pick between the two slower cars. But that spiced things up quite a lot at the front. On 0 to 100 real quick. But Lynn as well right behind. But Delaney now, he's not just applying a lighter, he's applying a blowtorch at the moment to the back. The Penrite Erebus ZB Commodore. Thanks to a little bit of help with lap traffic. Also looking through the field as well. Hines caught up to the back of Keane, and Cotter was also only a second and a half adrift of Hine as well. Keane sort of dropped a little bit away from Cortum. Looks like he's found a little bit of time over Keane in the last lap or two. Delaney right there. He'll want to take a little bit of revenge after, obviously, Reed's teammate Cotter wiped out his teammate. And I reckon that would have cost probably Delaney a little bit of time as well, having to avoid all that incident. We didn't catch it on our camera. He's right there. He's close enough to make a move if he wants it, but he would have to brake very, very late, and he'd probably compromise an exit. You'd probably want to save that for really late on in the race. Just see Brock dropping down a couple spots there, so perhaps he's going, no, not into this, and then back up a spot, so perhaps he's just gone off and cut a chicane. But looking back from Reed towards Delaney. Oh, a big slide on the exit. Delaney pushing hard. That said, looks like he's had a slightly better exit despite that, but his rear left certainly wouldn't like it at all. He's had a good run through one. Now he's just got to set it up through turn 3 and 4. It hasn't been his strong suit compared to the two Erebus cars, and it looks like Reed once again a slightly better exit. Not much, but a slightly better exit. That said, though, that slipstream helping out Delaney. It shows his nose. I reckon he could make that move, but he's just buying his time waiting for a mistake rather than making a desperate move. There's still 26 laps to go. So you don't have to be too urgent yet, but I reckon it's only a matter of time before Delaney does just send one up the inside at the turn 5 and 6 chicane. Once again, he's very, very quick through those final couple corners is Delaney. I reckon for him, yeah, he's having a look. His best bet might be into turn 2 and 3. Certainly seems a lot more comfortable. That's his best part of the circuit, the final couple corners. And giving Reed a little bit of a serve there, and then he had to get out of it. Otherwise, he would have copped a penalty for a bump and run. But yeah, coming out of the final corner, his best bet, I reckon, is probably just try and go around the outside at turn 1 and have the inside for turn 2 and 3 with that pace advantage he has on the exit of the final corner. So I'm just going to have a look back. Well, I don't want to look back because whenever I do, that's when there's a change of position for the lead. But as you can see, Keane has got Hine right behind him, and Hine's got Cotter right behind him as well. And I reckon Keane's going to be a little bit of a cork in the bottle here because Cortum is there for the taking as Keane locks up the inside goes Hine, and I reckon Keane might even lose out 2 spots here, but that slide he had actually balked Cotter and probably saved him from dropping 2 spots. But Hine now up into P4, a fantastic recovery drive from him. He's a little bit wide on the entry to the final corner. I thought Keane was just going to give him a little bit of a nudge, but Hine gets away with it. Poor exit from Keane. Cotter now up the inside at turn 1. And that's 2 spots down for Keane in the matter of half a lap. Oh, there's a big slide though for Cotter. He's going to have to cut the chicane. That will be a track cut. You get too many of them and you end up with a drive through. And I don't think his tyres would have liked that too much either. In front of them, Corsom getting by one of the Penske cars. That is Ches. And Dominiak and Crab battling it out there. The next cars to be lapped by this group. Dominiak having a look up the inside. Doesn't quite get it done. And once again, it's a cut to the leader. Delaney all out, right out sideways. Great mark Scaife there. Both in the low 104.3s. And got to say, Delaney could have been quicker as well without that slide. But half a second between those guys. And Hine already gained half a second faster, 0.4 of a second faster than Cortum on that last lap, and he had to navigate a car. Oh, and there's, I think that's Crab sort of skating through the chicane. It would have balked Dominiak and it would have balked Cortum as well. And what is Cortum going to do here? He's got 2 guys battling it out in front of him, and he's got guys that are coming behind him. He's hoping that the C's part in front of him and he can just go. Dominiak gets out of his way, thankfully, so doesn't lose too much time. Now Hine's going to have to deal with Dominiak, and Cortum is going to have to deal with Crab. Crab getting out of the way. Dominiak getting out of the way. So it looks like some smart driving from the back markers as Hine gets it sideways coming out of the hairpin there. Once again, 2 race leaders, 104.3, 104.3. Nothing between those guys. It's just a shame that Cortum and Cotter aren't there. Obviously, Cotter getting a drive-through for what we presume is running into the back of Cortum and not redressing the position. And it seems that Cortum's had a little bit of damage from that because his pace just hasn't quite recovered since then. As Munro does a personal best of 104 dead. At that gap now between Cortum and Hine, 1.1 seconds. So Cortum, Hine, and then Cotter, Keane, and then in that Rabble Club Nissan in the back there, that is Munro. Who in the second stint hasn't come on quite as strong as what I would have thought. But here's another one to look out for as well, if he can pick his pace up. At the front though, once again, Delaney pushing hard. He's got that gap under 0.4 of a second. And he just loves sliding it through that final corner. A couple tenths faster on that last lap. Reed consistent in the 104.3s. Delaney on that last lap, 104.1. And turning in a little bit early, short shifting up to the higher gear to get better traction, not spin the wheels as much. And Reed with a better exit there. He's had a good run under braking there, has Delaney. Oh, not a good exit out of turn 6. Even if Delaney gets in front, I don't think he'll be able to get away. I think these guys are going to be joined at the hip unless there's contact or one of them makes a mistake and they're separated by a few seconds. Because I don't think there's a vast speed differential between the two, and if you've got a little bit of a slipstream to help you along down that back straight there, you'll never let the other one get away. As Reed sets his personal best of the race, a 104.2. As Delaney locks up at turn 1 there, he's able to just pull it up, but that certainly will cost him time. We've got 20 laps to go. And we've got Greg Brock out of the race. 20 laps to go. And they just caught on to that. I don't know if that's happened on that last lap. But Gordon looks like he's had a decent lap and a half. He's sort of just kept that gap at about a second. Hasn't allowed Hines to close in. In fact, he's just eked it out just a little bit in the first sector there. And Hines having to sort of more deal with Cotter in behind. Got Phillips in the pits as well. Which is rather odd strategy-wise. So I wonder if he's driving... No, he's driving into his pit box, so perhaps he's just after some fresh rubber. That is 3rd, 4th and 5th. And there's Keane in 6th. And there's the Rubber Club car of Munro. Oh, and there's a mistake from Cortum, and that's allowed Hines to get by, so just outbroke himself, used too much curb maybe, perhaps the first chicane there. Oh, and we've also got Lynn there as well, so maybe he was put off by the Bruce Mobile car, but that has allowed Hines to get by, and now he's got to contend with Cotter, who supposedly ran him off the road early in the race. He's going to try and make a move. Well, it looked like he's going to try and make a move, but I think it was more defensive. But it hasn't quite worked. Cotter has got the inside at turn 6 and got by. I caught him quite frustrated with himself and probably with that Uber's car in front of him as well. So Hyde now, fantastic recovery from towards the back of the grid after a horror show, or from the bleachers really in the upper midfield, I reckon, after a poor race 1. Sits in 3rd place. And now I think the two battles probably see Hine and Cotter just edge away unless they battle too hard and keep Cortum around. But it looks like he's been just struggling a little bit compared to how he was doing in race 1 and early in this race. That said though, he's had a good run through the first sector, and if he gets a little bit of help, may have a look into turn 5, but no, not quite close enough this lap around. He's having a look. He's bluffed Cotter into going defensive there, but it wasn't quite close enough and broke too late to sort of, or slowed down too much, I should say, to sort of make the move stick. But that'll probably make him chuckle just a little bit that he fluffed Cotter like that and made him pretty much just jump out of the way. As you can see, very, very conservative through the final quarter, especially compared to his teammate, who's very, very gung-ho. And also got Lynn in the pits. But at the front, though, once again, that 2.5 tenths between Delaney is a bit, well, he's fishtailing and under braking at turn 5. And a slide coming out of turn 6 for Reed. So absolutely nothing between these guys at all. Delaney, once again, I think he's got a better exit out of the hairpin, but he can't really do much with it. He's just got to set it up now for the final corner, get a good run out of the final corner, as Reed uses too much curb, but Delaney, that rear left, has probably leaned on it too much there. He had to correct himself, or correct the car, and that prevented him from having a look here into turn 2. But now you want to set it up for turn 4. Again, I reckon he's just turning in a little bit too early and not giving himself not giving himself the best run out of there, out of the turn 4. He's fairly close to Reed though. And for whatever reason, he's got a warning cut track sign or whatever in front of him. He's got super cheap cars getting out of the way. Oh, and there's a mistake there. There's a mistake. Reed out braking himself just a little bit, allowing Delaney to get up the inside. Then they're going side by side. Oh, I thought there was going to be contact there, but Delaney sweeps in front of Reed and into the lead with 16, well, pretty much 15 laps to go. And once again, Nissan Ultima leads. What a race it has been so far at the front. Initially, it was both the Team Castrol plus fitness cars and the Penrite Erebus cars, but contact and penalties for Cortum and Cotter has dropped them down and out of contention for the race win. But Reed and Delaney have continued to duke it out, and we've got Keane in the pits as well. And that's a proper pit stop. That's not a drive-through. So I wonder if there's some drivers out here that may have to pit for fuel and tyres, or just a splash and dash. So it was mentioned in chat that 41 laps may be the most you can get out of a full tank. And there was a number of drivers that pitted with more than 41 laps to go. And some were around that mark, but something to look out for. A couple laps to go. But Delaney into the lead. And after his pit stop, Keane has got Birchall right behind him. See Keane on cold and tyres that aren't up to temperature. Birchall on, well, his tyres are up to temperature and pressure, but they're probably a little bit worn. He's got the run out of the hairpin. Keane will have the inside for the penultimate corners, and he'll hold on for now. Oh, he's ran wide at the final corner, as has Birchall. And even I think that's Ches. Oh, see the Ches. Yes, it is Ches in the background, also very, very wide there. But Keane and Birchall currently closest battle on track. Delaney on that last lap, 4/10 faster than Reed at the front. And Cotter has got past Hine for third place to make it a Penrite Erebus 2-3 at the moment. So that's something we missed. But Cotter into third, Hine down to fourth now, 106.6. So a mistake or some traffic. Well, hopefully not, but perhaps a bit of contact between the two, leading to that lap time. And Hine obviously cutting the chicane there, 2 and 3. So he's struggling at the moment. He had stretched that gap out to over a second between himself and Cotter over the last couple of laps, but it's cut back now. Obviously they've swapped positions and Hines starting to make some mistakes. And Keane on his first lap after his pit stop, 104.3, his personal best. So he's just going for broke and wanting some new tyres at the end of the race. And if there's a safety car, he might be one to watch out there. On fresh rubber. While everybody else will be on 30 odd lap old tyres. So right on board the Team 18 driver. Gap between himself and Lauder, 3.5 seconds or so. Oh, and he's wide, he's almost around. I reckon he's done the old accelerator brake trick there, because he was gone. He was gone, but somehow he's kept it out of the wall. Got Hall behind, also setting his personal best, a 104.4 for him as well. Only a couple positions back. But yeah, his rear tyres certainly wouldn't like that. Just pushing too hard there out of the final corner. It's not a place where you want to take too many risks, but the drivers seemingly throwing caution to the wind there. Seen a number of drivers run wide there. Still on this lap he has been able to claw back some of that lost time, but Hine is still about 7/10 away from Cotter as well in that battle for third place. But again, I think there's too little a pace difference, barring a mistake, for them to really swap positions unless Hine can force Cotter into a mistake. So in fact we're right on board Keane for a lap of the Pukekohe circuit. Alright, here we are into turn 1. 104.9, obviously not optimal for him. Obviously, he was compromised a little bit by his exit on the previous lap. Now through the first chicane. Doesn't run it all the way out to the curb and open up the corner for him. Exit for him at turn 4 there. Now the nice long run to turn 5. Now this sweeper here isn't registered as a corner according to Wikipedia or racing circuits. So this is turn 5 here, and then turn 6, this left-hander. And then turn 7. You don't want to really clip this curve here because it can unsettle you for no reason. Easy flat. And outbrake yourself here at the hairpin. You want to hit the apex there, Keno, but he hasn't quite done that. A little bit of slide on the exit. Now, don't have to worry about this corner, that's flat. Now, you've got to worry about the bumps at the penultimate one here, and you want to set yourself up for a nice run through this final corner here. Now don't run too wide again. He hasn't done it this time. And then across the line for a lap, the Pukekohe Park Raceway, and 104.3 for him. So they're the lap times that he wants to be doing at the end of the race if he wants to close down Lauda in front. He's too far back from Duro to really make it stick. As you see, Delaney and Reed both in the 104.1s. Reed a personal best on that last lap, but the gap is 1.8 seconds between the two. And we've got Phillips into the pits. We've also had Lynn and Dominiak also retire from this race in recent laps, I've just noticed. But I think the gap between Cotter and Hine just obviously sitting at about, well, it is 0.8 of a second as it stands. But I think the biggest battle on track in the coming laps is going to be between Lauda, who's holding on, and Keane, who's got brand new set of tyres. Only pitted just, I believe, on lap 60 off the top of my head. They've actually got Duro in the pits. So perhaps he needed to splash and dash, or he just wants to chuck on some fresh rubber, but I'd assume he has to pit for fuel. You wouldn't pit this late, especially in the position that he was in, unless you had to pit for fuel. So that is something to look out for. We might see a number of drivers having to splash and dash. And in fact, I reckon with this gap just sort of eking out a little bit between first and second, that might also be the case. I wonder if Reed is just saving fuel a little bit and he's just making sure he has to get to the end. Obviously, Delaney, he did pit a little bit later than Reed. So perhaps Reed having to do a little bit of fuel saving as this race comes to an end. But Keane now second away from Lauda in P7. And Lauda wide at the hairpin there. Once again, that's going to allow Keane to close that gap up to within a second. And Birchall also coming under pressure from Hall, who's been setting some decent lap times as well. So as you can see, only half a second. A 105.6 for Lauda, 104.3 for Keane. That's front running speed from Keane, but obviously he's on a pair of greenies at the moment compared to some hand-me-downs for Lauda. There's still a couple of question marks with a number of drivers out there regarding fuel. We have seen a number of drivers pit. There's a big lock-up for Lauda, and Keane sort of having to just stay where he was, otherwise he ran into the back of Lauda there. Certainly not ideal. And again, another lock-up into the hairpin for Lauda. They're coming up to one of the DJR Team Penske cars. And that is Eaton. And a lot of curb usage for both Lauda and Keane there at the penultimate corner. And Keane's had a fantastic run. Very, very committed. And having to back out of it at turn 1 there. He's going to try and set up a move into turn 5. A little bit wider through turn 4. Should set up a better exit. A little bit of a wobble for Lauda. And that slipstream, unless Lauda moves over, I reckon we might see Keane slide up the inside into turn 5. He's showing his nose. He's going to make it. He's going for it. And Keane gets the job done. He slides across the track. Has to make a little bit of a save for the cameras. But Keane now into 7th place. And I think if he can just keep it clean for a lap or 2, he should drive away from Lauda, who's struggling a little bit now. In fact, Birchall and Hall actually starting to close in quite a bit on him as well. So they're going to make it a nice little interesting battle towards the end of the race. And looking at the front as well, the gap has doubled between Delaney and Reid. So either mistake, lap traffic, or fuel saving. But it was 1.5 seconds, or 1.8 seconds. It's now 3.8 seconds between Delaney and Reid at the front with 6 laps to go. In fact, Reid's in the pits. Reid is in the pits. That's going to move Cotter up into P3, and that will elevate Hine into P4, and probably will elevate Corton back up into P4, and perhaps even Munro into P6. But we will see. We've got another car in the pits as well. That's Phillips still in the pit lane. But where will Reid come out? So his teammate's gone by, Hine's gone by, Cortum has gone by, and down he goes. Obviously he did pit very, very early, and that's Munro in the background. So Reid down into P5. The strategy just hasn't worked. They pitted early, tried to undercut, couldn't make the fuel work, and now they're just hoping that Delaney has to pit. Obviously Delaney's just driven flat out in this final stint, obviously to close the gap down, and then to get by Reid for first. But he pitted much, much later. So the strategy, vitally important here. And Erebus, I think, looks like they've got it wrong at this stage. 104.4 for Delaney. So he's still pushing out there. But if he has to save fuel, though, he's got 18 seconds to Cotter in second, so he could massively lift and coast if he doesn't have to save fuel. And Cotter in the pits as well. Cotter in the pits, so Hine, a fantastic run from him. That moves him into second, Cortum into 3rd place. So it was both the Erebus cars. And that's going to elevate, obviously, Reid back up into 4th. Munro's going to jump now into P5. So a good recovery from him from the back of the grid. Both him and Hine have had a fantastic run. Have had the strategy right so far. But we will see. Obviously, they may need to pit again. Don't know. But at the moment, disaster for Penrite Erebus. And Cortum actually towards the back end, in the last couple of laps, he's closed the gap up between himself and Hine as well. Hine, as you can see, his car, as you can see, very, very dirty and battle scarred. He's had a bit of an adventure. Sort of sums up his weekend, but finds himself in P2 at the moment. 22 seconds adrift of the race leader. But again, you still don't know if he may need to fuel save or not. 105.8. I reckon Hine might have to fuel. I reckon he's having to fuel save here. 105.8. Perhaps there was a mistake or traffic, but we will see on this lap. In fact, we'll ride on board and we'll just listen if he's lifting and coasting anywhere to try and save fuel. Also got French in the pits as well. No lifting and coasting, and a bit of a slide actually in turn 5, so I reckon it's just his tyres and concentration, perhaps just lapsing a little bit. But Delaney 104.5, he's still pushing hard out there. I think he doesn't have to pit. But Quarter just sticking around, looking for another battle on track. So it looks like Lauder, he's got Birchall half a second adrift. Birchall's dropped Hall, but Hall's still 1.5 seconds adrift, so he could join this battle pack. And they've got Keane just a couple seconds up the road as well. But Lauder once again under pressure. This time, super cheap auto Ford Mustang of Birchall. Looking a bit ragged at the moment is Lauder. Well, it looks like Birchall, he can just put his car where he wants. He's set up the final corner much better, but I think he just he's used too much curb at the final corner. He's had to get out of it. Otherwise, risk running too wide at the final corner. But still, he's right there. And if Lauder makes a slight mistake, Birchall will be there to pick up P7. And Delaney crossed the line. So, not too long to go for him. So, just for now, we'll stick with this battle between Lauder and Birchall. A little bit of a lock up there for Lauder, but he's able to pull it up and hit the apex. But, Birchall had a fantastic run. He's going to send it up the inside there. And Lauder sort of on and off the throttle. I don't know if he sort of lost the back end there, but Birchall is right there. Munro, fastest lap of the race for him at 1:03.8. But he's sort of in no man's land there. Lauder, again, defensive out of the hairpin. Again, a little bit wide. He hasn't had a good run through the final corner, but again, a little bit too much curb, and I don't think Birchall's quite as committed at the final corner to get the job done.
Leader started final lap.
Starting the final lap, Birchall all over the back of Lauder, and we've got Hine and Cordham side by side. Hine is going very, very slowly because he's lost a couple seconds. Obviously, these guys are battling. I reckon his fuel saving is Hine. Just cut to... Oops, wrong battle. Lauder and Birchall. And they've both outbroke each other. We'll cut back to the battle for second. Contact between Hine and Cordham. And Hine is just coasting at the moment. I don't know, is he... And well, it's allowing the obviously Reed in fourth place to close up. I wonder if Hine's going to redress or if it's just he's trying to save fuel. I reckon it might just be trying to save fuel. But anyway, regardless of that, Delaney is going to take a very hard and well-deserved win here. A shocking start to the season. Had a solid race in race one, but kept it clean, had the pace, got the strategy right, and he will take race 2, the feature race at Pukekohe. Hine holding on for now into P2. Reed having a look at Cordham at the hairpin, and he's going to have a good drive, and he's going to try and go around the outside of the penultimate corner. He's got the drive, and Reed will steal it, will he? No, it's going to be side by side. Cordham will hold on for third unless he runs too wide. But Hine, a fantastic P2. No, he's run out of fuel at the line. He has run out of fuel at the line. Cordham steals second. It is a Castrol plus fitness 1-2 at the death. Hine still gets his deserved podium. Reed will take fourth. Munro, once again, a fantastic drive from the back of the grid, just like Hine, to finish in fifth. Cotter will take sixth place. What could have been, but for him, he'll be thinking. Keane, a solid seventh place. Birchall, in the end, will take P8 from Lauder. And then we have Hall. Hall is slow. Hall is slow at the end, but he'll take the final spot in the top 10. Duro will get to the line in 11th. He's just cruising around. He's probably on low fuel as well. And plus Thornton is a lap down. So, right at the end. What an action-packed feature race from start to finish. In fact, has Duro crossed the start-finish line there? I don't know if he has there. Or if he's just doing donuts. So anyway, there we go. Across the line goes Duro. So what an action-packed race that was from start to finish. We had a battle for the lead up until really when Reed had to pit at the end. whew, I just need to take a moment because, yeah, obviously Delaney taking in the end a comfortable victory. Fantastic drive for him. Cortum led pretty much the first half of the race until contact between himself and Cotter. Obviously, Cotter ending up with a drive-through penalty, Cortum ending up with damage, and that dropped them down the field. Both the Erebus cars pitting early, and that paid, well, dividends, and not the good dividends for them, with them having to make a second pit stop in the dying laps, and that elevated Cortum back up into P2 after he was struggling after that damage, and in that second stint there. Hine, he would have taken second, but couldn't save enough fuel at the end of the race, running out of fuel coming, well, out of the final corner when it looked like he had it in the bag. Cortum stealing second, but still solid, very, very good result for Hine in the end. Third from where he started. Reed fourth in the end, up and down. But again, those boys at Erebus, they'll be a bit disappointed. Munro, again, very, very solid race for him. Probably his best drive of the season. Could have been better, but certainly after, obviously, qualifying, after race one, he'll certainly take that result in the end. Whew. Well, we'll just probably call it there. I'll let the drivers just sort of have a chat and celebrate amongst themselves. But just to run through the results once again. Delaney taking the victory for Team Castrol plus Fitness Team Castrol, whichever way you want to say it. His teammate taking second in the end. Hine in third. Reed finishing in fourth place in the end. Munro, well-earned fifth. Cotter, sixth. Keane, solid result for him and Team 18 in seventh. Birchall, good result for him and Super Cheap Auto this evening. Could have been a bit better, but still, good, solid eighth place for him. Lauder in ninth. Rusty Hall in 10th place. Duro, once again, always around about that 10th spot. Doesn't quite have the pace, but he doesn't make mistakes and he always gets to the line. It's a solid P11 for him. Thornton in P12 again. His race could have been a little bit better, but still good points haul for the Super Cheap team. Then we have Crab in 13th. Good result for him. And then we have Eaton and Ches in the two DJR Team Penske cars in 14th and 15th. French in 16th. Keys in 17th. Up and down. He'll be a little bit frustrated, I reckon, with that race. That feature race there. Payne in 18th. Phillips, again, up and down. I think he sort of must have had an issue there because he was in the pits for quite a while. Dominiak did not finish. Lynn did not finish. Brock also did not finish. Anyway, from myself, Lewis Wedding, I hope you've enjoyed this broadcast of the AK Racing Supercars Championship here from Pukekohe. But we'll just go with our calendar. So obviously today being the 16th of February, and this being the Pukekohe round. So in 2 weeks' time, March 1st, the boys will head to Barbagallo Raceway for another super sprint event. And if it's anything like this one, it will be absolutely fascinating from start to finish. And then again, March 15th from Hidden Valley, again a super sprint. Eastern Creek on March 29th. And then the first of the Endurance Cup rounds from the Bend on April 12th. Bathurst, the full 1000. That'll be a very long day, I can tell you, on April 26th. On May 10th, you've got the Gold Coast Sandown on May 24th. And Newcastle rounding out the season with the second and last of the Super Sprint events on June 7th. Alright, well, hope you enjoyed the broadcast, and, well, you'll see me again and the boys in 2 weeks' time from Barbagallo. Have a good one.